All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about why you get so many low quality leads at your med spa and what you can do about it. So let's hop right into it. So first off, let's just define what a low quality lead is. So I want to paint a picture, paint a scenario for you. So let's say that you run Facebook ads or you hire an agency to do so for you. Your agency convinces you that you need to run some kind of offer, right? So this is going to be like a discount, a package, a promotion, a limited time deal, something along the lines of that, right? You generate leads from these ads that you're running and you get their contact information. And then from there, your agency sends you the contact information with very basic guidelines on what you're supposed to do next, right? So they say, oh, just call the leads as fast as you possibly can and follow up with them a whole bunch of times. And then once the leads do respond to you, just use the script that we gave you, right? Just read the script word for word and you're going to be all good to go from there, right? And this is probably what you look like trying to call your leads all day long. But the problem is that the leads never respond in the first place. So you or your front desk person calls the leads when you get a break in your already busy day. The leads don't respond. So you try again tomorrow. They still don't respond the next day. And so you get burnt out on getting sent to voicemail over and over and over. And for that reason, you conclude that the leads suck, right? You conclude that running offers like this, the discounts, the discounts, the bundles, that kind of thing, it only brings in the wrong types of people, right? Your agency just keeps sending you these tire kickers who were never actually serious about booking an appointment anyways, right? So why don't the leads respond, right? So why would someone submit their information on a Facebook form and then not respond? Well, from our perspective, right, if I'm a med spa owner, my belief in this scenario, or the most logical thing to believe, is that if someone doesn't respond, it means that they were never really all that serious in the first place, right? They saw the crazy deal that we were running, but they just wanted a little bit more information. They're a bargain hunter, a Groupon shopper, a discount shopper, whatever you want to call it. In other words, they are a low quality lead, right? They're just kind of shopping around for information. But with that said, the reality, or at least what I believe the reality of the situation to be, is that low quality leads are just a symptom of a much larger issue. And in my opinion, the truth is that there is no such thing as a low quality lead. There are only unqualified leads. And so let me kind of paint the picture between the two. So first off, a low quality lead, I would define a low quality lead as someone who has literally very little or no interest in your offer in the first place, right? So someone saw your Facebook ad and they accidentally submitted their information. You're unlikely getting a whole bunch of these low quality leads because people don't just submit their information for things on Facebook that they're not actually interested in, right? On the other hand, an unqualified lead, I would define an unqualified lead as someone who hasn't been properly nurtured and qualified for your offer, right? So they're semi-interested, they saw your offer, they put in their information, but they're not 100% on board yet, right? They're interested, but they're not 100% good to go. And so how do we fix this? How do we fix this problem? So just as a quick recap, a low quality lead has literally no interest. They accidentally submitted their information. An unqualified lead has some level of interest, but they're not 100% on board yet. They initially just submitted their information on your Facebook ad because they liked the offer that you were running. They liked that you were doing a discounted treatment or whatever you were doing, right? So the problem with most agencies is that most agencies can generate you these unqualified leads. And let me see if I can zoom in here. Most agencies can generate you unqualified leads, right? So these people that are somewhat interested, but they're not 100% on board. But the issue is that most agencies also believe that their job is done there, right? So, oh, I've done my job. I generated the leads for you. It's not my fault that you can't actually turn these leads into appointments. Yet they provide you with very little to no guidance on what you should do after they send leads to you to actually nurture and qualify them. So after someone submits their information on a Facebook form and they send you the information to contact that lead, your agency probably isn't giving you a ton of guidance on exactly what you should do from that point. And for that reason, you don't have a sales process that turns these seemingly uninterested leads into booked appointments. And so this is what most agencies do. They create your ads, they generate leads for you, and then they're done, right? That's all they do. And then they send you the leads and say, good luck. I want to give you a very quick example of the difference between a bad sales process and a good sales process. And I want to use the example of apartment shopping. So I was actually recently looking for a new apartment, and my priority when I was looking for the apartments were I wanted an apartment that had all the amenities that I wanted. And I also wanted something that was priced, like it was not super expensive, right? So by all means, I was absolutely a bargain hunter in this scenario. And I went around and toured over 10 apartments. And what happened after the tour I thought was really interesting. So after I went on some of the tours, some of the apartments didn't follow up with me a single time, right? So I went on the tour and then they said, hey, if you want to live here, let us know. And that was it. They didn't send me any emails. They didn't call me. They never texted me, nothing, right? Another subset of the apartments, so some of the apartments followed up with me maybe once or twice, right? So they sent me an email or 2 emails. But very few of the apartments, I think only 2 of them in this scenario, followed up with me diligently, right? So they sent us helpful FAQs, reminders, pictures of the different units, and the reminders were about the offer that they were running. They called me occasionally, but not so much that it was annoying. One of them even got on FaceTime with us to do a virtual tour of the unit that we were interested in because we were no longer in the area, so we couldn't go see it in person. And so we had some apartments that we went on the tour and that was it. We had other ones where we went on the tour and then they gave, they maybe called or emailed once or twice, but that was it. And then we had other apartments that, after the tour, they sent us all this helpful content. They sent us these reminders about the offer they were running. They gave us personalized help by offering to get on the phone with us and show us an apartment over FaceTime. And that ultimately led to us booking or to us living at one of those apartments. And so here's the thing. All 10 of these apartments had very similar front-end deals. So every single one of the apartments had some kind of front-end deal to get people in the door. A lot of them were doing like 2 months free of rent if you sign on for a 14-month lease, right? And the cost of living varied greatly. Some of the apartments we looked at were very cheap. Some of the other apartments were very expensive. And since I was going into it almost as a bargain hunter, you would have expected me to go with one of the cheaper ones, right? But we ended up going with one of the apartments that followed up with us diligently. And we definitely could have lived in a similar location with the same exact amenities for less money. But the reason we ended up choosing them, one of the companies that followed up with us diligently, is because in retrospect, they had the best sales process, right? And now obviously at the moment I wasn't like, oh, that apartment had the best sales process, so that's why I'm choosing them, right? But if I think back on it now, I realized that we went with that apartment because they followed up with us and they had a really great sales process. So everything that they did after we came in for the tour played a contributing role into our decision. And so why am I telling you this story about my apartment shopping? Well, your med spa has a sales process, whether you realize it or not. And I like to define a sales process as everything that happens after you generate a lead. So someone submits their information on your Facebook form, what happens next, right? It's the phone calls, it's the text messages you send to that person, the emails you send to that person, the way that you speak to them over the phone, the way that you conduct the first visit, the questions that you ask them, and the way that you present your treatment plans. And typically your agency will get you leads, but then they want to plug those leads into your existing sales process, which likely doesn't exist, right? You probably don't have this amazing, beautiful sales process already built out, and that isn't your fault, right? Your agency can't expect you to already have that in place. And so most agencies, they create your ads, they generate the leads for you, and then they just say, we're gonna plug these leads right into your sales process, which you may or may not even have in the first place. And so for the rest of this video, we're gonna talk about how you can build a better sales process that turns uninterested bargain hunter, discount shopper leads into people that are actually booking appointments and buying high ticket treatment plans. And so why you need a better sales process? Well, when you properly implement a good sales process, you can stay top of mind with the people that submit your form. You can become a welcome guest instead of an annoying pest. So what I mean by that is instead of just following up with people and saying, hey, are you going to buy? Are you going to buy? Are you going to buy? When you have a good sales process, you can become the welcome guest who sends them helpful content and information where they say, wow, that person is very helpful and I really appreciate all the stuff that they're sending me. You can turn bargain hunters or discount shoppers, Groupon shoppers into booked appointments. You can charge more for your high ticket treatment plans than all of your competitors, and you can still win those same clients. And you can actually turn a profit on your ads and make more money. So for the rest of this video, let's talk about how to build a bulletproof sales process for your med spa so we can turn those uninterested tire kickers into booked appointments. And so before we get into that, first off, I just want to point out that your sales process for cold traffic must be very different from your sales process for warm traffic. And so let me explain the difference there. So cold traffic are typically the people that do not know, like, or trust you, right? So they're scrolling on Facebook or Instagram. They might see your ad and they submit your information, but they don't really know who you are. They don't like you and they don't trust you yet. Warm traffic are people who have some degree of know, like, and trust with you, right? So these are your referrals, word of mouth, organic Google search, Google Maps, past clients. These are people that already have some degree of familiarity with your business. With warm traffic, you might be able to get away with just calling or texting someone once, right? So let's say I come in and I get a treatment at your med spa. I thought it was great, so I refer a friend. My friend, you can probably just call them or text them one time and say, hey, Josh sent us your way. We would love to get you in for a free consultation. And it's likely that that will work, right? It's likely that they'll say, sure, yeah, why not? Because they trust me and they trust my recommendation. And so that would be a warm lead, right? But that will never work with cold traffic. That will never work with the people that are just casually scrolling Facebook or Instagram and see your Facebook ad. Calling and texting your leads once or twice will never work because these cold leads do not know, like, or trust you to any degree whatsoever, right? So with a referral, a referral already kind of knows, likes, and trusts you. So if you call them or just text them once or twice, they'll probably respond on one of those touch points. And then that ultimately results in a sale for you, where they come in for a consultation or they book a treatment with you. On the other hand, you have a cold lead. This is someone who just submitted their information on a Facebook form. You call them or text them once, but because they don't know, like, and trust you at all, you never can advance them to the sale because they don't know, like, or trust you, right? So if you just call them or text them once, it's unlikely that they're going to respond. And so how do we fix that problem? How do we build a better sales process? How do we get people to respond who normally wouldn't respond? Well, first, we need to follow up more, right? So simply put, the more we follow up, the more opportunities that we're giving people to respond to us. So sometimes we'll get a response after the third, fourth, or fifth text from a lead that otherwise would have been deemed low quality, right? So we send the first text, they don't respond. We send the second text, they don't respond. Most people give up after that point. But we actually follow up with people after the first 14 days of them filling out their lead form. And you'd be surprised, after 5, 6, or 7 days, sometimes we get a response for the very first time from a lead that otherwise would have been discarded and said, oh, this is a low quality lead, they're not interested, right? But we can recover those opportunities just by simply following up more, right? And so your next logical question is probably, well, how much, right? How much am I supposed to follow up? Well, there's no magic formula. However, this is what we do right now, right? So for texting, usually when we get a new lead, we're sending them a series of texts. So after someone submits their information on a Facebook form, we wait a minute and then send them the first text. If they don't respond to that, we wait 5 minutes and send them the second text. If they don't respond after an hour, we send them the third text. And then at this point, if they still haven't responded, we enter them into what's called a long-term nurture sequence. And this is essentially where we are sending them multiple texts over the next 14-day time span. And I'll show you later in this video what that looks like. For calling people, how often are you supposed to call? Well, usually once we get a new lead, we wait no longer than 5 minutes. Ideally, we're calling the lead immediately, but we wait no longer than 5 minutes and then we call them for the first time. And then if they don't respond on that call, we're going to wait 1 day and call them the next day. And we're going to do that for 6 calls, right? So over the first 6 days, we are calling people 6 times. After the 6th call, we're going to wait 2 days and then call them a 7th time, and then 3 days and call them an 8th time, and then another 3 days and call them a 9th time. So over the next, from when someone submits a form with us, over the next following 14 days, we are calling them 9 different times. Most people call once or twice and then give up. Sometimes we get a response on the 5th call. You'd be surprised, right? So you really can't give up too early. So if you're following up with people more, the next thing we need to do is follow up with them faster, right? So interest is fleeting, therefore speed is king. And so what I mean by that is you might have a 5-minute window after someone submits a form on your Facebook ad where they'll actually respond to you. Because when someone submits a form, we know that the sooner we call or the sooner we text, the higher likelihood it'll be that they're still on their phone, right? So someone is scrolling on Facebook on their phone, they see your ad, they submit their information. If we can call them within 5 minutes, it's likely that they're still scrolling on their phone, right? So they're still going to be available. However, if you wait 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, they might have to go do something else, right? So they may no longer be on their phone. And so it's important to be as fast as you possibly can. And so when we get a new lead, we are typically trying to call the lead within 5 minutes of the lead submitting their information. We are typically texting them immediately within the first minute of the lead filling out their information. And then if you're going to do follow-up emails, we would usually send the first email within 5 to 15 minutes. Quite honestly, I don't do a lot of emailing just because I don't see great responses from it. I stick mostly to texting and calling. And then on top of that, when we do get a response from a lead, we also want to try to respond back to them as quickly as we possibly can. So ideally within 5 minutes or less, because you might have somebody who has a quick minute where they respond to your text and then 10 minutes later, they're no longer on their phone. And so when people respond, it's much more likely they're still on their phone. And so we want to respond as quickly as possible after we get a response from them. And so this probably sounds like a lot of work, right? Calling people constantly, texting them constantly, but lucky for you, most of this can be automated. And so what I want to do is I want to show you the exact automations that I built out for my clients. And so what we'll do is we'll hop over into Go High Level here. This is a platform, if you're not familiar with it, this is a platform that kind of lets you do different marketing automations and different things, different marketing tools and software that you can use. Just to quickly show you exactly what happens. So this looks pretty like techie and pretty, this might look a little bit complicated, but I want to just show you this so that you can get a general idea or a general sense of what we're doing. So after someone submits a form, either on our Facebook instant form or on our landing page, there's a whole bunch of steps that happen in between here. Feel free to just ignore this for the sake of this video. But again, I'm just trying to show you conceptually what happens. After someone submits a form, we wait 1 minute and we send them the very first text. And now usually the first text is just going to be trying to get a yes or no response. And so usually I'll say something along the lines of, hey, is this first name, right? So, hey, is this John? And then legally you have to give people an option to unsubscribe. And you also have to legally include your location's name. And so we'll just say, hey, is this John? Reply out to unsubscribe. Thanks, 123 Med Spa. And ideally, we're just trying to get a yes or no to this very first text. A lot of people, they come out the gate and they're immediately trying to schedule an appointment. Hey, we saw you submitted a form on Facebook. We'd love to get you in on our calendar. What day works best for you? Way too much, right? We're talking about leads that are kind of half in, half out. They're not fully committed yet. And so right now we are just trying to get the first commitment, which is just to get somebody to respond to us. So, hey, is this John? And then ideally they're going to say yes or no. We're going to wait 4 minutes for them to reply. If they reply within those 4 minutes, then we are going to go down this path here. If they texted us the outward, so in other words, the word that gets them out of our texting, then we'll say you have successfully unsubscribed and will no longer receive text messages. However, if they say anything else, then we send them our next text, which basically says, awesome, this is Josh from 123 Med Spa. We just saw you reached out on Facebook or Instagram about our offer, right? And from there, we are going to send them a second text immediately and say, just so we can best help you. And then we're going to insert some kind of qualifying question. The purpose of this question is just to get people to show that they're serious, right? To show that they're not just wasting our time. And so we'll typically insert some kind of qualifying question there. After that, we're going to wait an hour for a reply. If they do reply within that hour, then I'm just going to notify myself or whoever is taking care of the lead and just basically say, hey, the lead responded with their reason, take the conversation and move it from there. And I'll talk about later in this video what to say after a lead responds. If we just go back up here real quick, if we say, hey, is this John? And the person never responds, then usually what we're going to do is we're going to wait 4 minutes for them to reply. If they don't reply, we are going to still send them a text, right? So we're going to say, this is Josh from 123 Med Spa. We just saw that you reached out on Facebook or Instagram about our offer, right? And then we're going to send them another text. Do I have the right number? And again, this is an easy yes or no question to answer. Yes, you have the right number. No, you do not have the right number, whatever people say. Again, on the first contact, we are just trying to get somebody to respond. We are not trying to get big paragraph answers from them. We're not trying to get them to book an appointment quite yet. We just want to gauge interest. And now after that text, we're going to wait an hour for them to reply. If they do reply, again, I'm going to notify myself or whoever is taking care of this lead that they need to respond to them. If they don't reply, then what we do is we enter them into what's called a long-term SMS or a long-term nurture sequence. And let me show you exactly what that looks like. So if people don't respond, what we do is we put this tag on them that says long-term SMS, and basically that just triggers them or sets them up to get these next texts. And again, don't be bogged down by the technical part of this. Just kind of think about this conceptually, how much we're actually following up and texting with people. And so if people are not responding, whether they were responding and then they start ghosting us, or whether they never responded in the first place, we are going to enter them into this process here where they're going to get a text from us, pretty much one text every single day for the first handful of days. From there, after that, we're going to wait 2 days and send them a text. Wait another 2 days, send them a text, another 2 days, send them a text, another 2 days, send them a text. And then finally, we're going to wait 3 days and send them the final text. And so we are texting people several times. I think it's probably 10 or 11 times. I would have to go through and count here. Maybe it's less than that. We're texting people several times over the following 14 days after they've submitted their form. And again, you can go ahead and build this out and go high level yourself. If you're confused about the tech, you could work with an agency like mine who builds all this stuff for you. But the whole purpose purpose of this is just to show you the sheer volume and the sheer speed at which we are contacting people. So when we get a new lead, I don't have to sit there and text the leads myself, and you wouldn't have to do the same. You can automate it so that all these things are happening for you. And then of course, if somebody responds to any one of these texts, then it opts them out and it tells me, hey, the lead responded, and then I go take over the conversation from there. So what happens when someone actually responds, right? So if we're texting people or we're calling them and someone actually responds, the next step is to qualify them, right? So like I said before, we're starting with unqualified leads who are semi-interested, but they're half in, half out. They're not 100% sure that they want to come in for a treatment. From here, it is our job to move them from unqualified to qualified. And basically what I mean by qualified is we're moving someone from being halfway interested to making sure that they can actually benefit and get value from whatever treatment that you would be providing for them. So first off, we don't just want to go straight for scheduling the appointment. We want to ask them questions to make sure that they're a good fit and would benefit from your treatment in the first place. And so if somebody responds over text, so we say, hey, is this John? And they say yes. What we want to do is we want to enter into a mini qualification. And so what we want to ask them is we want to learn about the problem that they're dealing with. So, hey, just so we can best help you, and then enter some kind of qualifying question. This totally depends on what service or treatment you're providing. So I can't really give you a one size fits all question to ask here. We also want to ask them about their goal. So got it. And what does the ideal cryoskin treatment or whatever it is look like for you? From there, we want to learn about what they've tried in the past. So have you tried something similar in the past before? And then we also want to learn about their timeline. So how soon are you looking to reduce that pain or achieve that desire? How soon are you looking to tone down or reduce the fat in your stomach area, for example? And from there, once we've gotten all these data points, we're just having a genuine casual conversation with the lead over text, if that's where they're responding to us. At the end, we would say, okay, thank you so much. Sounds great. I have a few minutes right now before our next appointment comes in. Mind if I give you a quick 2-minute call to get you scheduled, right? And then we would enter into a phone call. So if they say, yep, you can call me right now, then you would just call them and move into the next step here. And again, you don't have to hit every single one of these points. Like if someone is only giving you one-word answers, then you don't have to hit every single one of these points. Other people are going to pour their life story out onto you, right? So it really depends who you're talking to. But we want to try to get as much of this information as we can over text, just to be 100% sure that the person is serious and actually interested in coming in for a treatment. Now, if someone either picks up the phone or they say, yes, you can give me a call, then we want to do the same exact thing, right? So we want to learn about their problems, their goals, their past trials and tribulations, and then also their timeline for how soon they're looking to get the treatment. The only difference here is that over the phone, we want to expand a little bit on the problem. So there's some different ways that you can do that, but you could ask, oh, how long has this been going on for you? What do you think caused that? It depends. It really depends what treatment you're providing there. And then also we want to explain your treatment and set expectations. And so we want to take a little bit of time to say, hey, here's exactly how the treatment works. Just to clearly set expectations. You're not going to come in for one treatment and see these amazing results. It typically takes multiple treatments or multiple sessions over, a 6-week time frame. Is that okay with you, right? And then once they say, yep, that's okay, you would say, okay, thank you so much. It sounds like our offer might be able to help you. Our next step from here would be to lock in your voucher. The next step from here to lock in your voucher would be to get you on our schedule. Do mornings or afternoons typically work better for you? And then from there, they would say morning or afternoon, and then you're just going to find a date and time that works well for them. And so, of course, just like over text, you don't have to hit on every single one of these points. And if you were already texting with somebody and then they get on the phone with you, you don't have to completely repeat the question. So if you were texting somebody and they told you what their problem was, and then you were calling somebody and they told you what their problem was, obviously you don't have to repeat those things again. Instead, you could start the phone call with a quick recap and just be like, okay, great. So we were just texting a little bit ago. Here's what you talked about. Does that all sound accurate? And they would say, yep. And then you would just hit on whatever points you didn't already learn about them. Right. And so again, the whole goal here for the phone qualification is just to identify their pain, identify their desired outcome, identify what they've tried in the past that didn't work for them, and then explain your solution and set expectations for how it all works. From there, once we found out the date and time that's good for them, we want to collect a deposit. The fastest way to turn an unqualified lead into a qualified lead is to get some kind of commitment from them. And the best way to get a commitment is by collecting a deposit, right? Because if someone books an appointment and they have no skin in the game, then they're going to ghost you. They're not going to show up. They're not really all that serious. But as soon as you say, hey, we require a $25 deposit for this type of appointment, then people have to pay and it becomes much more serious for them, right? They're probably not going to ghost that appointment because they now have skin in the game. They've paid something for it. So you want to try to find a middle ground between an amount that isn't so much that it'll scare people away. Like if you were like, hey, we take a deposit of $1,000, then you're probably not going to book any appointments. But you also don't want to pick an amount that's so little that it feels insignificant, right? If we were like, we take a $1 deposit, people are okay with losing $1. So it's, it really doesn't matter. So I usually like to find a middle ground, usually between 5 and 20% of the initial treatment cost. So if you're getting someone in for a $200 initial treatment, then you could collect $10 or $20 or $30 or something like that. And so you would say, awesome. So to secure your appointment, we take a small deposit of $25, which guarantees your slot and is credited towards the total cost of the service. This is our way of ensuring that each client receives the attention and care they deserve without overbooking or impacting the quality of our service. And of course, if for whatever reason plans change and you need to reschedule, just let us know 24 hours in advance and we will apply your deposit to a new appointment time that suits you better. Is that all good for you? So we like to say something like that. Instead of just saying, hey, we take a small deposit, is that okay with you? We like to justify why we take a deposit because it's fair to you as the business owner to require a deposit. And then we also like to reassure them that, hey, if for whatever reason this doesn't work out, we can just move you to a different time and credit that deposit over there, right? And then from there, you would get their card information and you would upload it into your booking software, whether you use MindBody or whatever it is. Or what you can also do is you can create a free Stripe account and then you can create an invoice for someone to pay. And then you can send them a link to the invoice and they can pay it themselves, right? So if you don't feel comfortable getting someone's card information over the phone, you could say, awesome, just sent you a link over text. If you could just open that up and pay that invoice real quick, you can use a credit card or whatever, right? So at this point, the appointment is scheduled, but your job isn't done, right? So we need to combat what's called scheduler's remorse. So what is scheduler's remorse? Well, as soon as someone books in an appointment, they conjure up hundreds of reasons why they shouldn't show up to their appointment, right? And so we need to alleviate all of their fears and their concerns and doubts before those things ever happen. And so as an example here, people tend to forget, right? People just tend to forget that they scheduled their appointment. So the way that we can combat that is we can send them plenty of confirmations and reminder texts. People also worry, right? So people tend to worry, oh, how's the appointment going to go? Is it going to work out? Am I going to get results? The way that we combat those things is by sending them content. So let's talk about that. And so sending people content, this topic requires an entire video on its own. So I will make a video on this topic at a later date. However, just keep in mind that you want to think about all of the things that someone would worry about before their first appointment. So we want to alleviate their fears and answer all of their questions before they even have them. And so a really great way to do this is with sending them FAQs about the treatment that they're coming in for, sending them a first-time guide, which explains exactly how the first appointment is going to go, sending them your location, your address, any local landmarks that you're near, giving them a quick tour of the facility. Like you could take a video tour of your facility and then send them the video just so that they can kind of see what it looks like. You could send them articles or videos about the science behind the treatment that they're coming in for. Again, you just want to think about what they're coming in for, and then what are the typical fears or questions or doubts or uncertainties that people have around that, and how can we send them content before their appointment that alleviates those things. So for example, if we book somebody in on Monday and their appointment is on Friday, on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we can send them texts with different pieces of content, right? You can also send them video testimonials to show other people that have gotten success, before and after results of your past clients. We can send them reviews. And then again, like I said before, a first-time guide, which basically explains exactly how their first appointment is going to go, who they're going to work with, and all of that kind of stuff. And from there, you turn these low-quality leads who book an appointment and then don't show up, and you can get them to actually show up by sending them all these amazing pieces of content that just alleviate all of their fears and actually make them excited for the appointment, so that they come in and not only are they excited for the first treatment, but they are more excited to give it a go and buy a high-ticket treatment plan or a package from you. And then the final step here, how do we actually turn your deal shoppers, so these people that are just coming in for the first appointment, into a high ticket treatment plan or into a high ticket treatment package? This topic also requires its own video because it's a pretty big one to unpack. And so I'll make another video on this as well. But in general, we want to blow them away with the very first visit. So we want to give them such amazing service and give them such an amazing time that they're like, wow, I've never been treated this way before. This is amazing. The service and the quality is amazing. Because if you can really blow them away on their first appointment, it is much more likely that they will actually ascend into a higher ticket treatment plan. We want to qualify them in person, just like you did over the phone. So just like I was talking about before, where we're asking them questions to learn about their pains, their problems, their desires, what they've tried in the past, we want to do the same exact thing, but we want to do it in person, because you can build a much deeper connection with people when you're actually looking at them face to face and you're asking them questions in person. You'll usually get better answers in person than you would over the phone. And then from there, we want to bridge the gap between where they are currently at and where they would like to go or what they want to achieve. And we can show that the bridge is one of your treatment packages or one of your treatment plans. And so we can say, hey, obviously, you mentioned that blah, blah, blah is your goal. Results usually don't happen overnight. You're probably not going to see incredible results after just one treatment. Typically, this is the type of thing that takes 3, 5, 10 treatments for you to see the types of results that you're after. And so I would definitely recommend XYZ package. From there, you can also set expectations. So it is much better to under promise and over deliver than it is to over promise and under deliver. And so we want to make sure that we are clearly setting expectations as to what they can expect if they come in for treatments, what types of results they can achieve. And then I also like to have some kind of special treatment plans or packages that are ready to go, right? So as an example, you could say, hey, we can give you today's session or give today's treatment for free if you buy one of our packages. So today's session was $200, but we'll just credit that over to a package or a treatment plan if you would like to purchase one, right? That's one example, but you want to have some kind of special treatment plans or packages that incentivize people to take action right then and there, whether it's a free treatment if you buy 5, or whether it's we'll credit this one over or whatever, right? And so that is how you take someone who is a seemingly low quality, uninterested lead, and you turn them into someone who is not only coming in and responding to you over text or over the phone, but they're coming in for their first appointment, they are paying in full, and then they are ascending into high ticket treatment plans. So if you would like the winning MedSpot follow-up, if you'd like the exact scripts that I use to help turn low quality leads into people that are responding, who book appointments with you, then go ahead and click the first link in the description below, and I will give you my exact text follow-up templates, my exact text response scripts, my exact phone qualification scripts, and my voicemail scripts. So in other words, how do we follow up with people over text to get them to respond? Once they do respond to our text, what do we say to them after that? Once we do get people to get on the phone with us, what do we say? What is the script that I use over the phone to get people to book an appointment? And then once, if people are not responding for whatever reason, what are the voicemail scripts? So if you do get sent a voicemail, what are you saying to get people to respond to you or send you a text or call you back? So if that sounds interesting, then go ahead and click the first link in the description below, and I can send that over to your inbox within minutes. But otherwise, I hope this video was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.